Hello, everybody. My name is Aleksandar Kuzmanovic, and I'm a co-founder of bloXroute's. And at the same time, I'm a professor of computer science at Northwestern University. So today, I'm going to talk about bloXroute's and most recent things that we are doing there, trying to explain how we operate and what we do. And the title of my presentation is Sending Transactions Fast with bloXroute's BDN. And hopefully, by the end of the talk, you'll figure out what this means. So let me cut straight to the point and try to explain what is that we are doing at bloXroute's. So the key problem that we're trying to solve is that of the scalability of blockchains, right? And so I hope I don't have to spend a lot of time convincing you that the scalability is the largest problem that the blockchains are facing, right? So if you look just at the leading blockchain networks, Bitcoin, for example, supports 3 transactions per second, Ethereum 40 transactions per second. It jumped up a little bit in recent days. I'm going to talk about that. However, this still is far away from where it needs to be in case we want to put these mainstream applications to use blockchains. So the classical examples are credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, and others, which perform 5,000 transactions per second and more, are capable of supporting that TPS rates. But going just to some very simple examples, it's obvious that it's hard for blockchains to compete for these mainstream applications, right? If you just look at the number of cars in the United States and you assume that each of them is going to fill the tank once a week, then just for that application, you need 450 transactions per second. If you consider the number of vending machines in the United States alone, not even counting anywhere else in the world, and you assume that each of them is used 4 times a day, then just for that, you need 1,000 transactions per second, right? And if we talk about this machine-to-machine communication and global micropayments, which are typically, and often people talk about them when talking about blockchains, where we are really, it's a bit embarrassing to talk about all these cool applications when the reality is really different, okay? So what we are doing at bloXroute's, we are addressing, we are facing this problem heads on, okay? And so the mission of bloXroute and our main goal is to scale all blockchains to thousands of transactions per second without changing a single line in the native blockchain code, right? And this may appear a little bit hard, like how can you even do this? Basically, I'll try to explain that a little bit throughout the talk. And basically the key idea, of course, is to put a networking infrastructure that can help scale all these different blockchains. So, and I'm not going to dive into details right now about that, but let me just tell you what we have accomplished in the last couple of years since we were founded. Basically, we had this big Bitcoin Cash proof of concept where we have demonstrated that we can push the transaction per second rate to more than 1,200 transactions per second. And in this particular setup, we had more than 300 nodes on 3 different continents. So it was really, really a distributed network. On top of that, bloXroute, we are currently supporting the Ethereum mainnet. Okay, our gateways are deployed at more than 50% of the hash rate. We support more than 50% of hash rate. Basically, the major mining pools in Ethereum world are using our network. We have improved the data propagation time, something I'm going to talk about today, by more than 50%. And the gas limit only recently was increased by 25% from 10 million to 12.5 million. And so we don't claim that we were not at the table when this was decided. However, we feel that the miners and others in the community were aware of what we are doing. And basically, we claim that this limit can be moved up even more. On top of that, we are supporting other blockchain systems. We are working closely with Ontology, and we have partnerships with other blockchain systems. So what is that? How do we do this? Well, basically, we say that we provide a layer 0 for in the blockchain space. What is that layer 0? Layer 0 is a networking layer, and basically we provide infrastructure to help scale the blockchain. So let me just quickly give you an overview of how this is done. So we like to call ourselves Akamai of blockchains. Akamai is one of the leading, if not the leading, content distribution network in in the world. And so basically they provide these content distribution services, and we build a blockchain distribution network, okay? A network that helps move transactions and blocks and other blockchain data fast throughout the world, so that the transaction per second rate can actually significantly be increased. So what we do is we provide this cloud infrastructure tailored for scaling blockchains. And so we have two major ways techniques in which we are capable of pushing this increased transaction per second rate. The first is that we are doing a lot of caching within the system. Basically, I'm not going to dive into details here, but basically we are pushing transactions and we are using short identifiers to represent these transactions. Hence, we are significantly reducing the amount of data that needs to be transmitted through the network. And the second thing, which is something I'm going to really talk about today here, is that we are enabling a fast data transmission. That means any data that is sent through the network is going to propagate faster using our infrastructure than it is currently possible with the existing peer-to-peer network in the system. That said, we are not replacing the peer-to-peer networks. They are necessary for blockchains. However, we are providing a fast path and basically something that can help end users quickly send data through the network. And so what I'm going to talk about today is why this matters, this fast propagation of data, and what are the applications and what are the new APIs that we're going to provide pretty soon so that people can actually utilize this in the real world. So just to motivate this need for quick propagation of data, let's go back to the traditional finance. Okay, these guys have really mastered the idea of speed, right? Why is that the case? Because finance is a space where people say it's a space where the winner takes all. Why is that the case? Well, if there is, I'll just give a very blunt example. If there is a house and somebody needs to buy a house, right? Only one person can buy that house. Not 5, not 10, not 2, just one. Whoever gets to that house first and closes the deal, they're the ones who actually are going to purchase something. And finance all around has that notion, right? I mean, in finance, you either buy something or you don't buy something. If you don't buy it, the price can change, and hence you are off on a completely different grounds. And because of that, the traditional finance has done a lot of work in making sure that the speed is given to those traders so that they can actually be very efficient. So a few examples. For example, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, it is known that they allow traders to place their equipment, their computing equipment, close to on the same premises where the trading is happening, and hence there is a little bit of the round trip time is pretty small. Sometimes can go even to microseconds. Hence, this is essential for the traders. On top of that, there are, I'm from Chicago, and there is a lot of trading companies here in Chicago, and I got a chance to talk to many of them. So basically what I also do, there are all of these hardware equipment providers that actually can sell you hardware that they claim, I didn't check, can have the latency at the order of nanoseconds. Okay, can you imagine that? I mean, that's really something small. And on top of that, there's been a lot of work in providing network infrastructure for the financial world. So just a few examples. So for example, the Chicago NYC fiber optic cable, 827 miles, they actually put this cable like a straight line between New York and Chicago to cut the latency. There is a well-known Chicago-Toronto, New York City ultra low latency wireless network, also used for trading and the financial world. And there is also a so-called Go West network connecting Chicago Exchange and Tokyo Exchange. So this is just giving you a flavor on what is happening in the finance. So what about blockchains? What about DeFi? Like, what is happening there? Well, there as well, there are clear cases where the similar things are going to happen, and hence a networking infrastructure capable of connecting all these players quickly and efficiently is going to be very, very important. So let me quickly go through a few examples in DeFi, just to give you a glimpse of what is possible with bloXroute. So the first example is this lending and borrowing a DeFi application. Basically, it's very simple. Lenders lend money to a liquidity pool. Anyone can join who has money to actually earn there. And then you have borrowers, of course. And then the lenders are competing for borrowers by providing smaller interest rates, and then borrowers choose lenders that provide them the smallest interest rates. Of course, this has been around even before blockchains. However, with blockchains, everything is put in a decentralized manner, so anyone can join and actually can go on and trade. And now what happens, however, is that assume an example where a loan is so-called underwater, like the value of the loan goes down, and so that loan can actually be liquidated, right? And so automatically the protocol is set through smart contracts on Ethereum, of course, that sells the collateral to pay for the debt, okay? And however, as I discussed earlier, finance is a winner-takes-all type of play field, and hence only one entity can go on and buy that, and can liquidate that particular loan, right? And so what the protocol allows is to purchase up to 50% of debt at a 5% discount. So you can have 5% instant profit, but only for the one user who manages to get first to this particular liquidation. Another here are some examples. Of course, you can see the value, the amount of trading, and it's showing it's nowhere close to where the traditional finance is. However, we can see that there is some trading going on, like profits are more than $5 million, and so last year, and hence this is a hot area, something that is going to be more and more prominent. Okay, another example is arbitrage. So, for example, if you want to sell 244 DAI for one Ethereum on one exchange, because this is the current cost there, and at the same time, you want to buy 255 DAI for that one Ethereum, then you can earn 11 DAIs in one by executing these two transactions. Sound like a pretty good deal, right? And this is what people are doing. However, it happens only if you're able to capture this at a particular time. And hence, this is another place where racing happens, right? And so in case you're a trader and you don't manage to execute these trades in time, then you lose money, and that's not good for you. Another example where knowing what's happening in the Ethereum network or in any other blockchain network is important are these blockchain fees, right? Whenever you have to send a transaction on-chain, the fee needed for you to get onto the block is not unknown in advance. Okay, so we have an example of a so-called Black Thursday when the fees on Ethereum went pretty high, and so there's been a lot of stalled transactions, canceled transactions. People didn't know how much fees should they put in that transaction so that it goes on chain. So this is another example where bloXroute APIs can be quite handy. So let me now go back to what we are doing and the services that we are providing. So basically, we have this blockchain distribution network, and what I'm showing you here is real time. You can go to this particular webpage, our BDN Explorer, and look for yourself how transactions go through bloXroute when they're sent on the Ethereum mainnet. So what this graph shows is that 90% of the blocks that go through bloXroute are come sooner to the endpoints than if you send them through peer-to-peer network, and some 70% or so for transactions. So let me quickly give you an overview of our network infrastructure, and then I'm going to quickly provide our APIs and what we're doing. So what you see at the bottom of this picture is the classical blockchain network. So you have peer-to-peer nodes connected to each other. On top here, you see the bloXroute, the blockchain distribution network. Okay, infrastructure consisting of high-end servers, and in the middle of the two worlds are so-called gateways, right? So for anyone to join the bloXroute network, they put a small piece of code on their on their gateway, on their blockchain node, which helps them communicate to our network and send and receive blocks faster and send transactions faster to the network. So let me quickly walk you through some examples. So in case you are just a blockchain node and you need to hear about blocks, and you at the same time want to send transactions faster, the thing that you can do is you can utilize your node and simply, once the gateway is connected, you simply, whenever you send a transaction, that gateway appears just like another peer to your blockchain node, and you simply just send that transaction directly to the gateway. And as I have shown before, above in the previous slide, this is going to give a lot of advantage because that transaction is going to reach the other endpoints much sooner. There are other ways in which you can send transactions even faster using our network. So another example is using a gateway API. So if you are a node and you want to send the transactions, you can bypass your own node and send a transaction directly to a gateway using our API, which gives you another edge of several milliseconds relative to when you're sending through the node. And another example is, assume you're a user, you don't even have a gateway, you don't want to mess with it, you're just a simple user, but you still want things to go pretty fast. You can directly send that transaction using our cloud API, and the syntax is exactly the same like our gateway API, but you send that transaction directly to a node within our network, which then transmits that much, much faster, and you gain a significant edge over others who are not using our network. And two other very important APIs. The one is the transaction stream. That means because we are sending all the transactions to the miners and everybody else, if you subscribe to this particular stream, you can get all the transactions even before the other miners get all these new transactions. These are all valid transactions. This is very useful for traders, for anybody who's trying to analyze who's doing what on the network. This is super useful, and we are really, really receiving a lot of users wanting to get this feature. And another feature is, once you send a transaction to our network, what you can do is you can query our, we have an API that gives you the probability that that transaction is going to make it in the next block, okay? Because we know the entire ecosystem, we know about all the transactions, so we can pretty much give you that information so that you can quickly, maybe automatically adjust these fees so you don't have to overpay when you're sending this to the blockchain, to Ethereum in this particular case, but any blockchain that we support, we're going to provide such services. And so to conclude, bloXroute is the CDN for blockchains, and we're helping blockchains scale. At the same time, before any scaling happens, we are providing, in any case, this low latency network for DeFi and beyond, and we can help endpoints, traders, and anybody else understand what's happening and get some information from there. Here is the information about us, myself and Shenshen. Shenshen is our business developer doing a great job for us. So I wish I could answer questions here, but that's not going to be possible here. Nonetheless, if you have any questions, please see my email here, contact me in any other way. I'll be more than happy to provide any information that you may need, and I look forward to that. Thank you so much.